Hi, I'm Ali Mazalek, and I'm running one of the classes that's part of this project. It's basically a physical digital performance project with puppets. So my class has been working on the physical design side of this piece, particularly the physical digital design side, actually building the puppets that will be part of the performance and putting sensors inside them so that they can communicate with the virtual side. So the theme of the piece is basically a heist in an art gallery, or the story theme. And so we've got a cast of five physical puppets, and my students have been working on the design of these puppets in teams over the course of the semester. There are 5 teams in the class. Each team has been working on one of the 5 characters. So there's the small boy, the old lady, the cat, the security guard, and the gangster, and they're all involved in a heist scenario that takes place in an art gallery. What's happening actually in the piece is that as the characters perform on the stage, we capture data of their performance through different sensors. So the teams have worked on the physical design of these puppets and on putting sensors in them so we can capture the live performance in real time. At the back of the art gallery, there's a virtual painting, and the sensor data of the puppet's performance is mapped onto the virtual painting in real time. So it's like the characters, when they come into the art gallery, leave their mark on the painting, so to speak. And then these marks evolve and sort of loop on the painting over time, which is what Michael Nitsch's side has been working on.
What we are really interested in this class is the idea of how existing artworks, paintings, installations, performance art, and digital artworks kind of overlap and intermingle. Where do these things touch and where do they not touch? For example, how does the idea of participation, which is one of the key ideas in performance art, relate to the idea of interaction in digital media? These are the kind of overlaps that we're really interested in. So it's a kind of theory, design-driven class. As it so happens, puppetry is right at that overlap, right?
We submitted a proposal for the piece early in the semester to the Center for Puppetry Arts as experimental puppetry theater, and wonderfully enough, we got accepted. So we're really excited that the class has actually been able to build a piece that's going to be performed live on stage for a real audience. And I think that's also a great experience for the students as well and their teams to be able to experience something that's not just a class project that ends as soon as the class finishes, but that has a real existence in a performance. And they get a real sense of what an actual production cycle is like for a real artistic performance, as well as just the experience of learning about the sensor technologies and physical digital co-design. The inspiration of the project for me was from a film piece called Tango by Zbig Rybczynski, and in that piece, so it's a very carefully layered piece that involves a lot of different characters that enter a space, and as each character enters a space and does one action, that action continues to loop. And the thought that Michael and I started talking about is that if you have a physical interface that can capture that action in real time, then you don't have to go through the manual labor of creating the loop many times over, but you can actually use the real-time data captured to generate that loop in a virtual environment. So our idea with this piece was to take something that previously was a very sort of laborious process in an analog medium into a digital medium and use the technology to generate this interesting interaction, a looping and layered interaction between a physical story space and a digital space of some kind. While Tango doesn't have an actual story to it, we've taken this more in the direction of creating a piece that has a story to it. So the virtual environment is like part of the physical space that you're in. It's the painting on the wall of the art gallery, which is the setting where the piece takes place.
We found an amazing opportunity to work with Ali and designing puppets, because that was our first explorations in understanding the roles of interaction design and how interaction design sometimes is performed from an individual artistic perspective.
So in other words, interfaces to some kind of digital media that use the object spaces and surfaces around us. So not just a keyboard and a mouse to interact with digital information, but how do we put the digital information into physical objects, like a puppet is a physical object, or into a space or an environment. And we've been teaching this course a number of years, so this is the third iteration. And this is our first time taking it into a real-time performance practice. So you could say that the class is basically now, so the experiments that Claudia and I have done on the physical digital co-design side has now expanded or joined onto the work that I've done with Michael Nitsche between physical space and virtual space, or physical interfaces and virtual space. So we have the full bridge from industrial design, the design of the objects, to the kind of bridge between them, the interfaces that are physical but incorporate digital technologies, to a fully virtual environment that can read and capture data from the real world and map that onto a performance in the virtual space.